Hey there, high school sports fans. It's Frank Wolf from WNYathletics.com, and you are watching High School Sportsline. It's Friday, April 24th. You made it through another week, guys and girls. Glad to have you joining me today. We've got two very good guests that you're going to want to hear from. Justin McDougald from Niagara Wheatfield, the state champion wrestler. He joins me for a segment. And then Adam Stoltman, the superintendent of schools of Alden, also the Section 6 president, checks in with me for a few minutes. You're going to really enjoy those two interviews. What's going on out there in the world of high school sports? Well, you know what's going on. We're going to listen to these two interviews. I'll have some parting shots after that. You're watching High School Sportsline.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
Welcome to WNY High School Sportsline. Today, I'm very excited to have Justin McDougald join me. Justin McDougald is the all-time victory holder for Niagara Wheatfield Wrestling, a very successful career there that he is going to be going on to University of Buffalo this fall. He has 241 victories at the time of at the end of the season there, where he claimed a New York State championship at the 138-pound. Justin?
Yep, 138.
Welcome to the program. How are you today?
I'm doing good. So far, doing good.
A lot of news from Niagara County recently with Willie heading off to Oklahoma, and you're going to stay here at UB. It just seems like it's all coming to a head now. Two great high school careers, moving on to the collegiate level, state champions, and everyone's got to be extremely excited in the McDougald households.
Oh, yeah, we're pretty excited. Having Willie go out that far so he could focus on his career and me staying home so I can focus on my career so we can bring titles to two different areas. Help spread the McDougald name.
Very cool. Justin, what's the end game for you? A lot of people that ask me about wrestling, they're all they want to talk about is like The Rock or Hulk Hogan or something like that. Do you have any desire whatsoever to ever get into professional wrestling?
Yeah. I mean, in college, I want to dabble in like world team stuff, and eventually, I want to take it into because I know my parents are dabbling in with me trying to do more judo and all the other martial arts. So maybe a martial arts way, or maybe the world team stuff works out. I'll go that way. But wrestling, I want to do as much wrestling as I possibly can. I'd rather make the world team, Olympics, and all that before I resort to MMA.
Very good, very good. Justin, you know what really impressed me the most this year about you is how much you've matured, not only as a wrestler, but even off the mat. I mean, we had you when we were up at Star Point just a few months ago calling the Section 6 championships. You hopped on with Matt O'Rourke and myself to do part of that broadcast, and I just could not believe how much of a student of the game you became. You spoke about the wrestlers. You knew exactly what they were going to do, what they were doing, when they were going to do it. You called a perfect match. I can't exactly remember which two wrestlers were going at it at the time, but you had full control over that. Do you ever see yourself at some point getting into the coaching ranks?
I currently do a lot of coaching. Sometimes I'll stay after for the youth program, and I was even when I was on my high school team, I was helping coach some of the guys who would come to me personally, and some of the guys looked up to me a lot, so they come to me asking about moves, and one of the kids actually took under my wing, and I pretty much, you could say, coached him to a section championship as a seventh grader.
That had to make you feel pretty good.
It was nice.
When did you first start wrestling? Talk about the programs you were in and the coaches. If you could just talk about some of the coaches that have really helped you get to this point in your career.
From the gun, straight off the gun, Power Cats Club, from 4 years old. What really kind of started that was his name was Coach Joe. He, I don't remember how to pronounce his last name. Alston, I believe it was. Coach Joe Alston, and he was like my first ever like official coach, and one thing he preached was God, and he used a unique method. And then after that, I started moving on to something called Downstairs, and that was with Coach Tom Corum. I still like to currently call him my coach because I still try to keep up with him. He would be more like he'd be more like an MMA coach, but at the time he was my technique coach. He helped me refine a lot of my technique, and I moved on. I didn't really move on, but like my next chapter was Cobra. I moved with Keith Mouty. We did a lot of training there up to about now, pretty much. I started dabbling in with all his other coaches. I started going to like UB training thing, like little camps he held up there, like with all the college wrestlers. Like they'd coach the kids, and I'd be in the kids group. And then so I kind of already had a pretty good perspective on UB at the time. And then when it came to around state time, with Cobra, I was also veering off with Empire, with Coach Khalid, and like all his connections with the good wrestlers. We were in camps wrestling like with really good guys like AJ Kovacs per se, or Jake Camacho, like guys like that. Like there's also Ryan Jack. You have like guys like that, like high caliber kids. So I was able to get that in certain camps, and I also worked with D Google of he has a thing called the Grindhouse. I was out in his barn every Sunday at 11. It took a lot of work.
Day. Well,
also Coach Day, can't forget him also.
Justin, obviously winning this state title meant a whole heck of a lot to you. You really worked a long time to get there. Finally, to become a state champion. What was I know you did the backflip right away, but what was going through your mind knowing how much pain and suffering and sweat and tears you had to put into training to get to that final end game of winning that state title?
It was a lot of mental, like I had to beat myself up mentally to prepare. It took a lot out of me, like to build up, because like not the courage per se. It was more of like it was more of like what I needed to do, like not just like confidence wise, not just like it's like more like opening up, actually wrestling, like dabbling more into the sport of wrestling, and like adventuring new stages and new attack methods, and like shot reshots, more action. I kind of want to like experiment more. So
it was there for you. Let me see if I put this right. It was there for the taking. You just had to get over your fear, and you had to go and actually take it. You had to work up the courage enough to take it. It was there for you. You could see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you had to just exercise the demons, if you will, and just go that extra mile for yourself. Is that what you're saying?
That's ultimately what I'm saying. Because like the opportunity presented itself more than once, and couldn't not take it this time.
I know you'd finished second place before that. Talk about the trip home from Albany, and then ending up at the school where you had a number of people waiting for you to congratulate you, and the fire trucks and all that.
The ride home, it was kind of like unbelievable. Couldn't really believe that I had won states, mostly because like at first I forgot, because I went as soon as I won the match. I went to the room, fell asleep, like around 11. So like I never really sat there and let it ponder on me. But when I woke up, I was like, oh shoot, I kind of just won states. And on the way home, Like I didn't really know what was going on. And when I arrived at the fire station, I had a bag of chips in my hand, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Let me just go ahead and get in this fire truck." And we pulled up to the school, and all my porters, family, fans.
It was a good sight though.
Yeah, it was nice to know. I had a lot of people.
Heading to UB now that competition is going to get even tougher for you. Where are you? Where's your mind at right now as you're about to embark on this new challenge?
Well, first I wanted to focus on school first. So first year it might not be like my best year, but if I can get to the tournament, I would like to my first year, just so I can get that NCAA experience, like not just in the practice room and like at local tournaments or faraway tournaments. I want to get like that NCAA experience, like at the tournament. So the next time I come there, like I'm more comfy. Like I have that suit already on. Like that was like high school, dabbling with states. My first time in the finals, I had to get used to that. It wasn't the same.
Justin, what are you going to miss most about wrestling in the high school gyms and outside of Niagara Wheatfield, which I know you love wrestling in that gym? Where's another gym that you really enjoyed wrestling in, atmosphere-wise? So 2 questions there for you.
Well, atmosphere-wise, I like being some people say if you're the best guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. Like I still believe that, but I like being one of the top guys in the room. So like I have somebody to compete with, and there's people that always want to compete with me. It's like atmosphere-wise, I like that because there's like if I go to a normal practice now, everybody in the room wants to wrestle me. It's just like I like people wanting to challenge me, not me having to challenge other people.
Okay.
But
basically what you're saying is you like the bullseye on your back.
Yes, to be like hunted for. Almost, people would say. I mean, it's like, but hey, like, kind of gives me feel. Knows like someone's trying to hunt me, but not like,
I got you.
Another thing I like atmosphere-wise about high school wrestling like that practice room is like some of the coaches, like depends on the different type of coach, how he runs it. Like I know college is more like, strict. So like, you're more confined, but this school it's more and free range more. Like you got a little more wiggle room, some would say.
Okay, I'll ask you in a different way. I loved your answer though on the atmosphere net, but as far as a gym that you loved wrestling in, because the fans were right on top of you, it was loud, it was a good place to wrestle in. What gym are you going to miss going into the most, and just having that feeling that you're in a place that these fans are very passionate. This is a good wrestling environment outside of Niagara Wheatfield.
Oh, I was obviously home. Niagara Wheatfield High School is the most. They showed the most love when it came to packing the stands. Like it was more of like a support thing that like anytime we had a home match, like if we could be losing and when I'm on the mat, everybody's making noise. So that has to be the most packed gym I've ever been in. Either that one or the Niagara Falls one. They both show love.
Very good. And what are you going to be doing academically at UB? What are you going to go into?
I want to start out with political science and like something in the law, in the way of law, and then I want to like try and like go to law school, come out like, and my result wants to be a constitutional lawyer or any form of lawyer. Okay.
Well, don't you have a guy you can lean on right at Niagara Wheatfield with Coach Kuhn?
Yeah. I got one of my teachers also is a lawyer, okay. So all right. I have an uncle that's a lawyer. It kind of the people I know kind of made me a lawyer.
Okay. Well, Justin, it was a pleasure watching you. I didn't get to see anywhere near as many matches as I wanted to. these last 6 years, but I'm sure we're going to keep a close eye on you at UB and really hope to see you around that Niagara Wheatfield gym. I know there's a lot of young wrestlers that, you've been helping mold, and they're going to need you too to continue leaning on, and hopefully you'll be able to lean them as well for inspiration when you need it, because obviously now you're at the collegiate level, and the intensity is just going to get knocked up even more. But you are an absolute pleasure to watch, pleasure to talk to, and I'm looking forward to seeing your career go from high school state champion to hopefully collegiate champion.
WNYathletics.com is the premier high school sports website in Western New York, providing the best sports coverage of Section 6 and Monsignor Martin leagues. Check out our page for daily game recaps and late-breaking sports news. Our online scoreboards are updated in real time. Never miss a goal or touchdown. Visit WNYathletics.com today or follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube.
Welcome back to WNY High School Sportsline. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Justin McDougald. We are now going to speak to the president of Section 6 and the superintendent from Alden Schools, Mr. Adam Stoltman. Adam, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Frank. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad we had a chance to sit down and talk with you finally. I usually only get to see you a few times a year at the New Era Field or at an ice rink, but I'm blessed that we get a chance to speak to you this spring.
Well, looking forward to the conversation.
How are you making out right now? I'm sure your plate is extremely full with everything you're trying to juggle amidst this COVID-19 crisis.
Yeah, unprecedented times for everybody. Very fortunate to have an incredibly supportive Board of Education, great administrative team, and our faculty and staff have been wonderful, as the community has too. Everybody's really stepping up and doing things that they never dreamt they'd have to do, including parents at home, trying to navigate the whole instruction, from the teachers via the internet or packets or whatever the mode of instruction is. I know you're living a little of that yourself.
So basically, are you on the phone maybe in the morning with New York State and other superintendents, and then everything from there trickles down to your staff?
I'm losing you, Frank.
Sorry about that.
I lost you there for a second.
Okay. So my question is, I assume that you're meeting up with different superintendents from around the state, maybe at the beginning of the week, end of the week, or maybe early in the morning each day, and then that plan that they have kind of trickles down through you onto everyone in the Alden School District. Is that how that's working, or are you just working with just superintendents in Western New York?
We've got a regional superintendent group that meets about 3 to 4 times a week, and then we've got pockets that converse and bounce ideas off of each other. So in the regional meetings, we're getting the latest and greatest from Albany and from the state. Hasn't been a lot of change over the course of the last 6 weeks. A lot of information and questions we're trying to get answered regarding funding, budgets for next year, votes for elections, and obviously the delivery of instruction, especially when it comes to some of our most neediest learners. So we're really, as I believe all regions are, we're really collaborating with our colleagues around Erie County and leaning heavily on them to kind of figure this out. You've got 19, 20 people in a Zoom session or on a WebEx, and somebody's got a great idea, and then absolutely, Frank, we bring that back to our districts and see whether or not it works within our district. And obviously, depending on your district and your community, you got to tweak things accordingly.
Is there plan A if schools do resume, and also a plan B if they don't resume that's been discussed? And when such a date and time comes, when the state makes the announcement as to how they're going to proceed, is that actually been worked out just in case for A, they do resume, or B, they do not resume?
I believe we're in a place right now where we're closed through May 15th, and should the decision be made to close after for further a couple extra weeks or till the end of the year, I don't see much change to the plan right now, because we transitioned from a review of material for a few weeks to the introduction of new material, and have made made plans in each of that learning to make sure that we're reaching out to kids for reteaching opportunities along with clarification of content. So in the event that it gets extended beyond May 15th, I don't foresee there being major changes to the plans that folks are already implementing right now.
From your perspective, how has the at-home learning gone, and how's it getting back to you within the Alden school districts? As the high school and the elementary, middle school age kids, how have they been in terms of being receptive to learning at home throughout this pandemic, and are they doing well?
I believe we're very fortunate. The feedback that we've received from our families is they are receptive to it. As I mentioned, our faculty and staff have been absolutely incredible. They've presented numerous opportunities for kids to connect. For example, at the elementary level, our elementary teachers are presenting videos via Zoom, recording them so that students can access them at any time. And then in addition to that, they have quote unquote office hours that they're available to clarify content for them, along with other sessions that they just get the kids together so they can see one another. And maybe there's just a short activity. As I said, the feedback's been very positive. I think most importantly, from day one in this pandemic, our teachers and staff have made a point to reach out to each of our families throughout the week just to do wellness checks to make sure that they don't need anything. In the very beginning, we found that many of our families didn't realize that we had food available for them. Okay. And now we're serving 700-800 meals, a day. So we've got folks coming in, driving up, picking up meals, and we're delivering via our buses and transportation folks. So I think that is probably the most valuable thing that we can offer families, is just that connection and help outside of school that they might need.
How's the morale among the teachers and coaches in the Alden district? How are they holding up? Obviously, there's just so much unknown. We've never been through this, and hopefully we never have to go through it again. But how's the morale of the teachers and the coaches within your district?
I'm sure people are very disheartened that we're going through this. As you had mentioned, it's unprecedented times. I can tell you that if you watch the videos as I have, and I've interacted with our teachers and our food service folks, they got a smile on their face, and you know what? They're looking at the positives that they have in their own life. Knock on wood, we're not New York City, we're not Westchester County. Hopefully we don't evolve to that. I think people are just becoming more and more cognizant of the positive things that they have in their lives. We're working with kids still, and many of our community members are out of work right now. Yeah. So I think we're focusing on the positive, and they're doing a great job.
At the high school this past fall, you guys unveiled a brand new football and lacrosse and field hockey, soccer field out there. I think it looks great. I'm a big fan of it. How have the reviews been overall?
Interesting. The people that liked it right off the get-go still like it. The people that may have not, I'm not sure if you're aware, we actually put it out to a vote for our community. The people that may have not voted for the blue turf, many of them have called me or stopped me and said it's kind of growing on them. So it's unique, and
it's definitely unique.
We're excited.
I love it, though. I got to be honest. I was out there in the fall watching a practice for the season. I loved it. But I could see it definitely has to grow on you. I wasn't a big fan of Boise at the time, but it grew on me, and I really enjoy what's going on there with the field. I hope to see it being used this fall. What are the chances that there isn't a fall season?
We haven't even started having those conversations at the sectional level. We focused more on the spring season right now. And I know that there were some counties downstate that made an announcement they canceled their spring season. We're not ready to do that just yet. We met last week as an executive committee and talked a little bit about it. We recognize there's probably in the coming days, if it hasn't, the state association is going to have to make a decision on the state championships. I'm not optimistic that's going to happen. However, I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic that maybe we can get a regular season in of Section 6 and crown divisional champions and at least, at that level for our juniors and seniors and varsity athletes, get them something. But that's all going to be contingent on whether or not we go back.
Is that decision supposed to be made on Monday? Are we hearing that there could be some decisions made Monday in respect to the spring season?
At the state level?
Correct.
I did not hear that, but I've been in mess rooms all morning long on conferences.
I know one line up for vote, I guess, is in regards to football this fall, adding that extra week. That decision at least should be down on Monday. I'm sure as a football guy, one who scored 2 touchdowns in the North-South game just a few years ago.
Yeah, just a couple.
I'm sure you'd be in huge favor of adding that extra week to the football schedule.
Yeah, as you know, several years ago, contests in general across the board were reduced for our student athletes due to financial crisis in New York State. And while we overcame those crises and added many things back, the student athletes never got the contest back, including the sport of football. I'd be really excited if the sport of football were able to play an additional game, and even more excited if we got games across the board in basketball and other sports, baseball, softball, what have you.
Who gets to vote on that? Do the section chairman vote on it, or do the football chairman? How does that work itself out?
So any changes that go to the central committee at the New York State Public High School Athletic Association are usually brought about by either committees like the football committee, the softball committee, the modified athletic committee. All of those changes or recommendations come from the state representatives in each one of those sports. And then it goes through a series of meetings and votes, whether it has to do with safety. It's got to go to the safety committee before the state executive committee or the central committee votes on it. But ultimately, it's the central committee that votes on it. And the central committee is made up of, I believe, 4. I believe each section has 4, maybe 5 participants that have an option to vote on that. And that's kind of where the decision's made.
Okay. You've had you grew up in Alden.
I did.
You grew up in Alden, and did you see yourself as a young boy ever becoming not just a teacher, but getting into this level at the superintendent position?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, and each step of the way, I didn't. I mean, I was fortunate enough out of Canisius College to get a job right away out in Warsaw, New York, and was able to teach K-12 phys ed out there. Unfortunately, that job was reduced. And during that summer, Alden had an opening. I applied. I was fortunate to receive that. And I thought I had the best job in the world. I was an elementary phys ed teacher, kids gnawing at the bit, willing to run through a wall for you, dabbled with a couple JV sports. I was never leaving that environment. And things happen. I mean, I went from there to become the athletic director and ended up becoming an elementary principal out in Akron, and then eventually came back to Alden as a middle school principal, and now here I sit. But every step of the way, I enjoyed every one of my experiences and didn't ever anticipate leaving that particular position to do something else.
As a high school student, you played football and baseball for Akron, but in Canisius, you were a hockey player and the captain of the team there for 2 years.
I was.
Because Alden didn't have a hockey team, and if not, where were you playing your hockey?
So I was playing hockey for the Depew Saints at the time. It was a travel team that I was fortunate enough to play with student athletes from Canisius and St. Joe's and numerous high schools around. And it was before the split season. So we literally would start our season in the middle of September, and state championships would be done in nationals like middle of April. So it was, it was quite a long season. It was a great season. Some of my closest friends to this day are those kids that I played with growing up from the time that we were really 7th and 8th graders till we graduated from high school. We still all stay in touch with one another.
Well, you couldn't have been too bad of a football player if they put you in the North-South game.
Yeah, well, not sure. Maybe the pickings might have been slim that year.
Adam, I really appreciate your time. I'd love to talk to you all day, but I know you're busy and there's a lot of people that want to get a hold of you and talk to you, and you got a big job and you oversee quite a few people. So Again,
Thanks, Tom.
hopefully we can catch up again soon. I hate to just see you at New Wheatfield. I like running into you more than that, but I understand you're a busy guy, and just hopefully things get better before they get worse.
We hope so. Fingers crossed. And thanks for all the work that you and your crew do.
Hey, everyone, that's going to do it for another episode of High School Sportsline. Great guest today. I want to thank Justin McDougald once again and Adam Stoltman. They do a lot of great things in Justin's future coming up, and Adam just continues to do a great job. Next week, we've got Connor Mahoney coming on from Lancaster. I believe Skylar Munikenheisen. Should also have Jack Sharp from Orchard Park in. Skylar from Wilson. We're looking for some more guests. We'll have them on board. Wednesday is going to be a roundtable show with some college coaches that also do some recruiting. I sent a message out there yesterday. How do you get recruited? How does that all work? Let's put some of the myths to rest, if you will, and have some open discussions with some of the guys that actually do the recruiting. Offers are great. Offers are great. People are getting offered left and right. That's wonderful. Great to hear. But just remember, they are just offers. And they can be rescinded at any second. So that's just what they are, and just offers. Well, you have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of the NFL draft. Go Bills. Tomorrow, Saturday morning, Inside High School Sports, Tony Caligiuri, Tom Prince, Roger Weiss are doing a Zoom chat. Should be on the Inside High School Sports Facebook page. Looking forward to that. Kyrie Demos hopefully will be a part of that as well. He'll be with me next week, as usual. Have a good night, everyone, and have a better weekend. Stay safe.